The markets have been waiting a while now for some indication on whether QE3 is going to happen at all. Earlier in the week, head of the US Federal Reserve, Benanke, hinted that there's a good chance it will happen. The frustrating thing for the markets, though, is when. Not only this, but some analysts are now saying the markets are becoming too obsessed and are relying too heavily on there being another announcement at all. It seems fitting then that the Fed's recent Beige Book Economic Survey, which is aimed at assessing the current state of the US economy, points to a modest increase in the country's economy in June and July, although growth and job opportunities have slowed in a number of areas. Well, with me to examine all this further is the owner of Global Strategy Connections Limited, Wayne Stanley. Wayne, thanks for joining me. Can you just give us a brief overview of the results of the Beige Book survey?
Yes, Thomas. First of all, I want to say thank you very much for inviting me. You have a great show and great interviews, and I'm very proud to be part of it. I've read through the Beige Book, and first of all, I think for the listeners out there who aren't really very familiar with the Beige Book, I would like to tell you, exactly what it is. And the Beige Book is a report that's created by the Federal Reserve. It's created 8 times per year, and it's a summary of comments received from various businesses and other contacts outside of the Federal Reserve. They say that it is not a commentary on their view of the Fed. What this report indicates is that it noted that the overall economy in all 12 districts were up, but that the growth in New York, Philadelphia, and Cleveland was slower than the last report. They indicate that real estate loans grew modestly in most districts, probably because interest rates still remain at record lows. All district housing markets reports were largely positive as sales and construction levels increased and home inventories declined. Rental markets continue to strengthen, with rising rents being reported in most of the main cities. To me, this means that people are coming to their senses. They're not borrowing far more than they can possibly afford to repay, which they're no longer allowed to do any longer. And people are moving into apartments, and they're saving until they can put a nice down payment on a house they can afford. And in my view, this is a very good move forward. Employment and wages and prices. Employment levels grew at a tepid pace for most districts since the last report. Agricultural products were mixed, with corn prices rising because of drought conditions persist. Energy prices have declined.
Now, we're focusing predominantly on the Fed during this interview. Do you think the markets are becoming too obsessed by a desire, if you will, to know if and when the next wave of QE will be announced?
Well, Thomas, we have to keep a few things in mind. First of all, this is an election year in the U.S. Economies going down during election years are virtually unheard of. The economies have to go up during election years. Now, indicating that there is possibly going to be a QE3, of course, Wall Street loves to hear this. They're going to be able to access more money, and it's going to cost them less. So as long as they can borrow money for free, and there's no penalty for borrowing, then the economy is going to continue to go up.
Finally, given the Fed governs so much of what happens to the US economy, is the Reserve of the United States operating as effectively as it would like to believe it is, and how relevant is it in this current financial climate?
That's a good question, Thomas. And there's ample evidence on both sides to be in favor of the Fed or against the Fed. Those in favor of the Fed say that they have been working with the U.S. economy. First of all, I think that it's important that people realize that the Fed is a private corporation. The Fed has destroyed the money market, and I believe capital markets, when they are dead, capitalism is dead. What we need to do is to increase interest rates. When interest rates go up, then we're going to see a great unraveling in the market.
Okay, well that's all we've got time for, Wayne, I'm afraid. Thanks very much for joining us. Tomorrow is the last day of this trading week, and I'll be running through a number of items with my special guest on what the markets might want to watch out for next week. So do join me then. Until next time, goodbye.